All right, very good morning. How are you doing? This is Wednesday, and despite what Ayub will tell you, don't listen to Ayub. Ayub confessed to me the other day that he really is, in his heart, a Manchester United supporter, but he does this Arsenal thing for sure. And if he denies it, this was the plan, that I'll say it and then he denies it. But be that as it may, interesting conversation as always with Ayub and Safin. Today being Wednesday, it is health and lifestyle. Now, this aspect of lifestyle today is something that's very interesting. If you have, most of the conversation that you have around guns would be safety control, but now the Ministry of Sports and GAO have come together for the first time, and there's going to be, looking at it as a sport. It has existed, but now we want to get more details about it as a sport, but also talk about gun safety. Anytime there's an issue, as late as yesterday, day before yesterday, maandamano, there's always riots, there's always the issue of live bullets, etc. So then one would ask, what is the process of owning a gun? One would ask, what are the safety issues concerning that? And allow my guest to introduce himself. He has a long list of accolades that allow him to also say, so go ahead, do not be ashamed to praise thyself, but go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Willis. Thank you, and thank you, Citizen, for having us. We do appreciate being able to be given an opportunity and a chance for us to speak to Kenya and to the world, and especially in matters relating to firearms and shooting sports as a whole.
Right.
My name is Samuel Nyango. I'm a master shooter, and I will be the match director for this upcoming Africa Championship competition, which is a Tier 4, meaning the second highest level of firearm shooting competitions that you can have in the world when it comes to International Defensive Pistol Association's discipline of shooting. Yes. I'm also the competitions and training captain for the National Gun Owners Association and the Federation.
Okay.
Yes, Willis.
All right. Then also, you're also a safety officer?
Yes.
Just say all of them.
Yes, Willis. As you've clearly put it, firearms, we use firearms, which are real firearms. We use live ammunition, so safety is paramount. I am a safety officer. For you to be a safety officer, you have to go through some rigorous kind of training. So I am a safety officer instructor who has been appointed in, say, Africa, the region of East and Central Africa. I'm responsible for training safety officers and watching over IDPA in matters of ensuring that the rules and regulations that regulate the sport adhere to the maximum.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, and then over and above that also, you're the African champion in 2019 stock service pistol, African champion in 2021 enhanced service pistol, Eastern Europe MagTech champion, Northern Nationals champion 2018, Match Direct African Championship 2021, Assistant MD Swiss Nationals, Master Shooter in 4 divisions, that is the stock service pistol, enhanced service pistol, compact carry optics pistol. The only safety officer instructor in East and Central Africa. Unajua ni lazima upewe flowers zako when you So basically when it comes to matters gun safety, you have a lot of knowledge in it. And I guess let's start there. And we're starting there basically just because of the incidences we've had just a couple of days ago. What are some of the concerns, around gun safety?
Willis, firearms are firearms. They are tools which have been created or built for the purposes of self-defense. They are supposed to be treated with the respect that they deserve. And they, as the normal saying goes and says that they are good servants or good masters, depending on which hands they're placed in. Firearms are used by the police as a tool, as one of their key tools for the police to instill discipline and for them to be able to use it in their daily operations. And to the shooting fraternity, us in shooting sports, we use firearms as our main tool when we're doing the sport itself. And you'd find, Willis, that it is interesting at times when we see people using firearms in the wrong aspect or misusing firearms in the wrong aspects. For us, we've tried to maintain that this has never happened and will not happen, God forbid, with our members. So we try to retain and maintain a certain level of discipline. With the regulations and the rules that are set aside for firearms safety, there are some disciplines that you must have. And that discipline is not a negotiated discipline. It is 100%. And if it comes down to 99%, then that 1% can be disastrous. If you see scenarios where there are demonstrators, for example, if I may just speak away from the normal sporting aspects,
right,
and you see the police are carrying firearms, the people must be aware that that is not a toy. That is a real firearm. And the firearm, the purpose of that officer having that firearm, one is for him to make sure that he ensures that the duties and the responsibilities that has been bestowed upon him when he takes the oath is that he has to actually perform them and do them. And equally also, he has to protect his own life. So these firearms are not toys. These firearms are for real. And when you see people playing around with them, then it becomes a very bad issue. So the result is normally that it has to be controlled. You have to control the use of that firearm, and it can only be directed to the person or to the intentions that has been prescribed.
Right.
And for safety, as you've rightly put it, when it comes to safety, firearms have regulations and rules. And we normally say that we must treat all firearms as loaded. That is one principle that we follow as instructors or as when you're introducing somebody new into the field of firearms. We train you and we teach you and we make you understand the 4 key safety rules. And one of them is that you must treat all firearms as loaded at all times. Loaded means that that firearm, in case you press the trigger where it's supposed to be pressed, it will fire. There is no day you assume and say that it is not loaded.
Right.
All firearms are treated as loaded at all times.
Right.
And that is one key aspect that I would like even our own citizens in the whole country to know, that all firearms are treated as they are loaded. There's no firearm that you can look at somebody carrying a firearm, then you say, ile bunduki ni kama haiko loaded, wacha tucheze naye. No.
You can't like say the way it weighs.
No. At
Yeah.
vile ametembea na ule anabeba wala bebangi kama iko na risasi, hapana. All firearms must be treated as loaded. That is known to the person who's carrying the firearm, and that is known to the person who's seeing you carrying the firearm.
Right.
All firearms are treated as loaded. The second rule says that never point at anything you don't intend to destroy. That is why when you see even the police in the riot areas, or when you see us as sports shooters or as licensed firearm people, we don't walk around with firearms pointing them at people. Because we have a discipline that says never point at anything you don't intend to destroy. You only point at that thing that you intend to destroy when you're sure that that is a target that you need to.
And destroy is a very strong word.
I think I would not want to. I would not want to use a lighter word,
right?
Because at the end of the day, that is what it will do,
right?
So then you come to the third rule that says never put your trigger finger onto the trigger until you're sure of your target, because once you put it in the trigger finger, then anything would happen. I could trip, my muscle could flinch, I could go through a stroke, or something could happen as a natural happening.
Right.
And that would end up igniting that particular firearm. And then it could do the damage which we want to prevent it from doing.
Right.
Then we have the fourth rule that says that target discrimination. You must always know your target. You know what is in front of your target and what is beyond your target. Because if you are to even shoot at a human being, you've got soft tissues, the bullet will penetrate through the tissue and it will hit an unintended person. If the person is standing in front of you, and you press the trigger, and the bullet, the trajectory of the bullet is heading towards that particular person, the ballistics means the bullet will hit the person who you don't intend it to hit. So you must always take care of those 4 principles. Treat all firearms as loaded at all times. Don't point at anything you don't intend to destroy. Don't put your finger on the trigger until you're sure and you know of your sights and your targets are on the particular person who you want to shoot. And then you must always have target discrimination in your mind, meaning that you're sure of your target, what is in front of your target, and what is beyond your target. If you take care of those 4 rules, Willis, there is no time you'll ever have something called accidental discharge,
right,
or unwarranted discharge, or negligent discharge. This all comes to your responsibility, because you're responsible also for that firearm. You're responsible from the minute that the bullet leaves that particular firearm to its final resting place and everything on its path. If it's to clip somebody, if it is to destroy anything on the way, you're responsible for it. You can never say that I never told you to be on that path. That path where the bullet travels is your responsibility as a person who holds that firearm.
Right.
So for you to have all this discipline, well, it requires a lot. Yes.
And then, of course, then that begs the question that once, we have instances, of course, of armed robbery, and the question is always posed by police, or even by the people, how did this gun end up in the wrong hands? So maybe before we answer that question, if we can, but what is the process, of registering or owning a firearm in this country?
The process is elaborate, and it's actually dictated clearly in our Constitution, and it is there in an act which requires you, first and foremost, if you are to be a police officer, definitely you have to go through training, you have to be inducted into the course, and then from there you become a police officer. And even the police officers do have permits when they're carrying those particular firearms. They don't just leave in the morning and he goes and picks a firearm and goes on holiday with it. No. There's a very rightful system which they do follow. For civilians, for you to be able to own a firearm, you have to make an application.
Okay.
And this is prescribed very clearly in the Constitution. You have to go to your local OCS. He has to vet you. You have to make your application in the OCS's office. He will look at your records, and then from there, he will guide you.
Records being if you have any...
Yes, they will require you to give your good conducts. They will require you to give your psychiatric evaluation report. They will require you to give your copies of your national ID. They will require you to give your PIN. They'll require you to... There's a form where you fill, you have to put your next of kin, you have to put your residence, you have to say how long you lived in that particular residence. You'll have to state the reasons and the purposes why you want the particular firearm. And then they will do a background check on you, which goes through several security committees. And even all that process that it takes, eventually then it will land on the Firearm Licensing Board. And the Firearm Licensing Board now, they have now the right to now call you again, vet you, and finally decide if they're going to issue you that firearm. Then now that is where now people like us do come in, who are the National Gun Owners Association, the federations, the shooting ranges, and the clubs. Because once you're issued with this particular firearm, you must now train. You must be able to bring your proficiency level for you to be able to know how to use that firearm safely. Then when you come to our ranges now, you get trained on how to use it, you get trained on how to have the discipline, and we also keep a track record on you to make sure that we do follow up on you and see that you're participating in competitions, you're participating in our build-up matches, you're participating in our training programs, so that you don't just have a firearm with you, it is in your safe, and you don't even know how to use it. Then finally, the day when you want to use it, it's even more dangerous to yourself than the people who you want to use it against.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the kind of process that.
And then you mentioned something about a safe. Is that also part of the checks?
Yes, it is a regulation that must be there. And the safe that you have in your house has to be inspected by your local OCS because he's the custodian of you as a person who lives within his territory. So he has to come and ensure that your safe that has been installed in your house is a secured safe. It has been safely secured in your house, that is not removable. It is not easily accessible to the children in the house or to any other person, your house patrons, the ones who assist you in your house, and any other people who are within there. They have to make sure that you maintain it also. And when you're traveling out of the country, Willis, and maybe you want to go back to Geshagi, and you must leave it in a locked safe, or submit it to your OCS for safe custody, or bring it to a firearms dealer. I'm also a firearms dealer. I forgot to mention that to you.
Right.
And also you have to submit that to your dealer for him to safely store it for you. You can't go and leave it in your cabinet. You can't go and leave it in your car. You can't go and lock it up in your suitcase and leave it up somewhere. Well, at least that is not legal. That is going to end up being illegal because at the end of the day, it will create a risk.
Right.
So it must be securely stored. Yes.
Are there checks? Do you have to check in once you have it, right? And you're going to trainings. Are you checking in with the OCS? You know, people say lazima hesabu bullets. You have to account for. Does that happen?
The OCS doesn't come to do those regular inspections, but when you go to renew your license, they have all these records. When you're purchasing your firearm and you're purchasing your bullets from the dealer, the dealers do make returns to the Firearm Licensing Board. They do a ballistic test on your firearm, which is left by the ballistics department of the DCI. And that is the kind of tracking that happens. When you go to a shooting range today, you'll be told to enter your records. You'll enter your records, how many bullets you've come with, how many bullets you've shot at the range, how many bullets you've left with. All those shooting ranges also do submit these records back to the Firearm Licensing Board, where now they do, and if you go after a month or 2 months, they will tell you, Willis, you visited 4 shooting ranges, this is the amount of bullets you shot, and even in your book, there's a regulation, and there's which regulates how many bullets you can possess in any one time, in any 1 year, and how many bullets you can purchase at any one time. So all this is regulated and strictly monitored.
Right.
Yes.
One of the important things that people have also mentioned is, you know, we've seen, unfortunately, sometimes guns being used, you know, recklessly, etc., and to the worst, probably sometimes even suicide. So is there, in the build-up to the process of getting the firearm, is there a psych evaluation?
Yes, psychiatric evaluation is
Right.
done by the government office, and that report is forwarded to the chairman of the Firearm Licensing Board,
Okay.
which gives you status. And as you know, I don't know how to put this, but I would say this, Willis, today you can be normal.
Right.
But in the next 2 minutes when I'm with you, you're not.
That's right.
So something can flick, something can trigger, something can go this way or that way. But also, Willis, it depends. Who do you keep around with you? And I've always had the opinion that when you have the right kind of crowd around you and they notice something is not right with you and they know you possess a firearm, it is not wrong for your friends to mention this to some other authorities,
Right.
and to let them be aware that this person is in possession of a firearm and his status is of late.
a bit unhinged.
Yeah, it's
Right.
it's not very good.
Right.
It helps because now the authorities would come and find out, is it okay for you to still be in possession of it? Willis, also, there's an age that you'll reach. And at that particular age, and you're still in possession of a firearm, you might not be remembering some things. So there's also some regulations that come to a point where you hear people saying now, ule ameambiwa arudishe bunduki. Sio kwa sababu ya kuonewa, sio kwa sababu ya nini wala nini. It could only be because it's safe if it is off your hands.
Right.
So the cases that you hear of suicides and the cases that you hear of somebody has unfortunately maybe gone and misused a firearm in a sense where it was left in the house and a young boy or a young girl unfortunately maybe came across it and it happened that a life was lost. Unfortunately, these things do happen. They are one-offs. And not saying that if they are one-offs, they should not be taken seriously. They do happen, and the prevention is usually to make sure that these firearms are stored
Right.
safely, secured away, totally secured away. And also to have some sort of training for the family so that the family members who know that you own this particular firearm do understand the operations of these particular firearms.
Right.
And they know the dangers involved. Because you'd find that you'd go and store your firearm wrongly, leave it in the drawer, and you've gone to work. And then maybe this person comes across it, and they don't know how to operate it. So immediately they touch it, what happens? Because the formation of a firearm, I wish I came with a dummy firearm to show you. The frame of the firearm, if you hold it, it automatically puts your finger on the trigger because that is how it has been built. So you'd find
Unless
that,
you kind of put it out.
yes, and it is hard because if you're not a trained person to leave your finger straight like this, it is hard for you to put your finger. If I tell you to put your finger straight like this, Willis, you'll find it curving inside.
Right.
Yeah, you see, it's curving inside
Right.
because that is how the fingers move. The 4 of them always move together.
Right.
But us who train and shoot a lot, we can afford to do this because we have that third rule I was telling you, where we keep our finger off the trigger at
Right.
all times and we keep it on the frame. So you'd find that if I just pick up that firearm, I'll find my trigger finger going to the trigger. And immediately I pick it up, what happens? It is an extension of my hand. So this is an extension of my hand. If I turn like this, it turns. If I turn like that, it turns. If I turn like this, it turns. So to find myself muzzling myself or muzzling something else or muzzling somebody else, when I say muzzling, I mean the tip of the firearm pointing at something that you don't intend to destroy, then that will be an easy occurrence. And that will be now the danger. So you could forget. It could happen.
Right.
It is a possibility. And it could also lead to some of these things that we do not want it to
Right.
happen.
You've mentioned that whenever you go to get the firearm, you have to kind of state the reasons why. you want? What would be some of those reasons?
The best reason, Willis, today I will tell you without flinching, is for shooting sports. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. It is a perfect reason.
Right.
Why would I not want to be a member of the shooting sports in this country? It is as good as what do you call it? It's as good as running 100 meters dash. There's an adrenaline push there. There's a time limit you're fighting against, and you're pushing yourself to do things that are not easily done. And this is where it comes down to the fighting against time and speed and accuracy and all that. So if I was to apply for a firearm today,
right,
I would say that I'm applying for a firearm because of sporting reasons. And those sporting reasons, then you must join a club. You must join one of the shooting clubs that we have in the country. You must participate in the sport, and then you would possess that firearm, because you'll now come out of there with a lot of discipline, Willis, I can tell you.
If then, because of course we have like you've mentioned to us, the whole system of owning it if you are in, if you're a civilian and you're not interested in sport, then what factors have you put in place as the sports organization and federation, to make sure that we still follow these processes and there's the discipline that you talked about?
As one, I would speak about the federation that I'm in today and association that I'm also in. The National Gun Owners Association of Kenya has kept a very good track record. We have a shooting range in Kiambu, Kirigiti. We have some clubs that we cooperate and work closely with. We also have branches, like a branch in Mombasa, where we have the National Gun Owners branch in Mombasa. We have a branch in Mount Kenya. We are now spreading our wings to go further and have branches in different areas. Within these branches, we also have a regional coordinator. Our regional coordinator, who is a substantive post in the association and in the federation, he's responsible in ensuring that those particular regions have got the regional representatives and trainings going on. I am the person in charge of training for these regions, and even before, I've held several trainings in Mombasa, in Mount Kenya, in Naivasha, and all this have been done in purposes of trying to build proficiency. So we as an association and the federation, we are trying to keep a strict line of having activities and keeping our members busy. We don't just keep them busy by sending them journals and information about firearms, no. We do things known as Know Your Gun Laws. Now, Know Your Gun Laws is a course where if you come for this particular course, or training, it's a full-day training where we have got the office of the DPP, we have got some serious lawyers who are there involved, senior counsels, we have got the office of the IG, and many other people who are involved in the industry.
Right.
They come and they take you through what does it take, what do you need to know, and what are the consequences of you having to have engaged somebody with your firearm and for you to have misused or to have used it well. They bring it all into the perspective, and you're able to ask the questions. It's a full day's training. Apart from that, we also bring in a lot of international trainers. Some time back, we brought in a trainer who took in a very good course that trained most of our security people in the country, and also some of our own individual civilians into how to perfectly use your firearms. We've had trainers who've come in to train for us, safety officers like Ian Van der Bank, who came from South Africa. And we've also had our own shooters here in Kenya travel abroad. That's another thing that we do, just as an association. But Willis, I'll tell you, luckily enough, this time round, the Ministry of Sport has come in. They've even told us, give us your timetable, give us your program for the whole year. Where do you intend to visit as a country? Where do you intend to go and take our Kenyan shooters? So we are now developing to have what is a substantive Kenya team and a substantive Kenyan group, which will be now disciplined in this particular trips. We have a trip in May, which will be traveling to Italy. We have a trip in May, which will be going to the US. And last month, some people went to shoot in South Africa. That was in a different discipline known as IPSC, but all within the same circle. So with this kind of controls that we have, Willis, you'll find that you're always busy doing something with this firearm.
Right.
You're either training, you're either learning, and you're either in these groups that we have, the WhatsApp groups and our training groups, where we keep passing the information and letting you know this is that is this. And we even have a networking group where you can come on board and say, listen, guys, I am building a house and I need an engineer, a certified engineer. And this is we pass all these informations there, but you get the best quality and you get a secured person. So it keeps you and everybody else in one loop.
Right.
With us being in that one loop, we're able to control one another. But Willis, if you misuse your firearm, if you go and misuse your firearm, and you are one of us, which is, we are lucky that has never happened,
right,
we will not let you go. We will be the people to look for you. We will be the ones to hand you over to the authority. Hautasema tumekuuza, because we don't want to be involved in those things.
Right.
But even those people involved in those things, we want to ask them to follow the law. The civilians who have the firearms, come and join us. Be with us so that you can learn and be well how to use it.
Right.
Join the competitions like what we're having as the African Championship. This is something that is bringing in people from America. We have people coming in from Romania, from Slovakia, from very many different countries, from Italy. They're all coming to Kenya because they want to share with us the same kind of experience and to know how to enjoy the sport while using the firearms.
Right. So we've talked about that in the Ministry of Sports and Youth Culture. Thank you. And through Ababu Namwamba coming to support the competition. So first of all, we tried our hand in it and just want to we want to show just a small clip of myself and Muredi, who is in our transport department, and Ibra Kitita, who is directing this show right now, and Bensu, the cameraman, or video journalist, as we like to call him. And we tried our hand in it, and let's take a look at how that was when we went to visit Ngao, see how it went down.
So my name is Mahir Mohammed Omar. I'm a CCP master shooter in IDPA, and yeah, and I'm going to be the head of statistics in the IDPA 2023 Africa Championships.
Okay, so tell us, like before, we had some 4 cardinal rules that we must have here. If you can expand them for us.
So we have mainly the 4 cardinal safety rules. 1, treat all firearms as if they're loaded, because you never know. You might find an item lying somewhere, but you never know who has used it. If there's a round in it, if there's no round in it, even if there's no mag in it, there could be a round inside the chamber. So always treat all firearms as if they're loaded, because in this sport there's no sorry. Everything is dangerous in itself, because we're using live ammunition. Number 2, we have never point at anything you do not wish to destroy. Destroy being the key word. You wouldn't want to destroy your friend. You wouldn't want to destroy your leg. You wouldn't want to destroy your hand. So never point at anything you do not wish to destroy. Number 3, finger should always be off the trigger. When you're shooting, you might trip. So to avoid such accidental discharges, always you need to ensure that the finger is always off the trigger, just in case if anything happens. If you fall down, at least it's going to be safe. Also on the never point at anything do not wish to destroy. Even if you fall down, ensure that your muzzle is always facing downrange, the safe area. And then number 4, we have know your target, what's beyond it, and what's before it. This is a scenario whereby now, in real life scenario, you may find armed thugs who are holding a civilian hostage. So in this scenario, you should know, you as a shooter, as a seasoned shooter, or as a shooter, what you need to do to eliminate the threat. So in such a scenario, now it's your body. You move your body. If the guy is here and is holding the hostage towards his left side, you move this side and hit him. Or if it's on this side, you move and hit him. Even in this such a scenario, we always have the civilian target whereby the hands are red and the legs. So even in shooting, you're always penalized if you hit a civilian.
My name is Elizabeth, Chief Safety Officer. So in the range, we have 4 rules. So I'll ask the SOs to simulate. So treat all guns as if they're loaded. So usichukue bunduki yako, point to the other side. So ukiwapa, hata nyinyi mkiwapa sahi, mkipatiwa bunduki, msipeleke, you treat as if they're loaded. Finger off the trigger at all times. So even hata mkifanya dry, finger off the trigger. Sawa sawa? Know your target and what's beyond it. Ukitaka shoot this side, angalia the surroundings. Sawa sawa? The other one is the last one? Never muzzle what you don't intend to shoot. Sawa sawa? Also, we have fundamentals of shooting. When you're shooting, lazima ujue the stance. Wezi simama hivi na intend to shoot. Sawa sawa? So the stance matters a lot. Also the grip za pistol venye utashika. Mtaoneshwa na safety officer mwenye atakuwa na wewe. The grip, also the sight alignment. Tuko na sights hapo utaona kwa pistol. The rear and the front. So there's another sight picture, so you want to align the two. Sawa sawa. Also ni what else? Trigger controller. So unajua venye uta deal na hiyo trigger. Sawa sawa. The last one is breath control. So ujue venye uta control breath yako. Sawa. So you're ready? You guys are ready?
Why is the breath control important?
Utaweza. Huwezi sawa sawa.
So when you're shooting, I was almost saying, do you breathe?
Yeah. You breathe, but okay. You know, you need to relax.
Air out.
Yeah. Two shots at the zero. Take your time. 2 shots. Another shot. I said 2. I said 2 shots. So another one.
What you did not see is that I emerged the best. Okay, I'm kidding. Actually, the best was actually Ibra, who was immediately asked to report for training. It was an interesting experience. My personal experience, and maybe, of course, as we discussed, just from handling the weapon, there's a lot of things that, first of all, the movies are a lie. All these people, especially Indian movies, who've been wanarusha hivi na gani nakuja pole pole, but bullet nakuja pole pole. But one of the things, I guess, she talked about the stance, breathing. Yeah. What I think you don't prepare for if you're a first-time shooter is that we call it, is it recoil? What?
The recoil.
The recoil, because
yes.
You're aiming at something here and then it goes, and it goes all the way. So what are some of those fundamentals like, especially now when you're looking at it as a sport?
Yeah,
the 7 fundamentals you say.
Yeah, the 7 fundamentals of shooting are basics. The rock bottom basics.
Okay.
So when you come in as a new shooter, you have to understand and know them because you've been doing things in a certain way.
Right.
So we have to change you to do them in a better way.
Right.
So that when you're firing your shot, like you said, you have a recoil. And the recoil is a big burst that you feel it. You feel your hands.
Yeah, even when we had that shot where all the guns are sort of in one
line, then you see them all slipping up.
Right.
So the recoil happens because of the bullet, the gunpowder, the explosive device that is in the bullet, which is in the primer. When it is struck, it explodes. It removes the gas. The gas circulates within the bullet itself, within the cartridge itself. Then the cartridge removes the gas. It's pressurized. Then the suspense expels the bullet from it, forcing it to go down the barrel. When the barrel has got riflings, so it spirals on its way out. Now, all that mixture of activity that happens within the bullet, within the firearm or in the chamber, is what now creates that explosive effect. And that's where the loud bang comes out, and that's where it makes you kick. So that kick that makes your hand jump up is what you need to control. Because if you do not control it, your bullet will not go to where you want it to go.
Right.
So the 7 fundamentals help you for you to be able to build a stance, a grip, a proper stance. The first fundamental is a stance. We normally say you must have as natural stance as possible, but the best is a boxing stance because now you're fighting a recoil. So you stand as if you're fighting somebody else in a.
So you kind of slightly bend your knee.
Yeah, slightly bend your knee, just like you're riding a horse. And then it's like you're fighting, more or less just a boxing stance. You'll always find yourself when you're fighting, unless you fight those fights of like this. You'll always find your knee
right.
a bit.
Yeah.
So we say acquire the best boxing stance,
right.
and then the best after your stance, then it is your grip, because when you stand, you must grip the firearm. Once you've gripped the firearm, then you must have a proper sight alignment. You must align your sights, meaning now you go to those four things I was telling you about, the four cardinal safety rules. Now, when you're doing that, you will be able to now look at your firearm, see the sight alignment, which is a rear sight and the front sight, align them so that your shot goes where it's supposed to go. Once you've aligned them, you'll have a proper sight picture.
Right.
From that particular sight picture, then you put your finger on the trigger because you're sure of the target. Then you manipulate your trigger to have a smooth pull. Once you have a smooth pull, then you have a breath control. Breath control means breathe naturally. And then after that, the seventh one is you must have a follow-through.
So they don't have, when you say breath control, I've read somewhere, hold your breath. So none of that, just breathe.
No, breathe normally when you're shooting a pistol. Holding your breath comes in when you're doing sniping, and it's a long-distance shot, and it's actually not holding your breath. It's just that don't breathe.
Right.
Don't have a rapid kind of breath because it's going to change your balance.
So that then, sorry to cut you short, but that then gives me a whole new respect then for police officers, because you're running, you're shooting, you're disciplined forces basically.
Definitely,
forces.
definitely.
You're running, you're shooting, even AK-47, GT and all this.
Yes, you find that that is what I'm saying. Your body adrenaline system is up. A police officer, when they're engaging, and even us when you're engaging in shooting sports, when you've been told stand by, and you start now engaging a course of fire, everything changes. Your adrenaline kicks in. So your vision changes, your blood pumps in a different speed, and at all this time you must control these fundamentals. So when you can control the 7 fundamentals in a split second, then it gives you the highest level.
From the stance all the way to the...
From the stance to the 7 are supposed to be done in a split second. If I'm to draw my firearm and take a shot at a target which is 5 meters or 4 meters, and I would do it in less than a second, many people would say that that's crazy. But to us, that is natural. But I've trained for so many times that I can do it as a second nature thing. So a police officer running in the crowd, running and engaging a target and making sure that they have their targets on is total respect. It's not something that just comes easy. So that is why we are saying each and every day that you must keep on training and training and training.
Right.
So the 7 fundamentals are for any basic person who comes in. And once you've trained the 7 fundamentals and you can be able to shoot to an intermediate level, then you need to come back again to the basics because you need to reperfect them again to lift you to go to an advanced level.
Right, that's what I was going to ask next. So you've said you're a master shooter. In fact, there's somebody called Delta who has said nikusalimie sana.
Asante sana.
Yes, so Delta is watching as well as Peter Okul,
Okay.
who is, of course, you know him, the Nyanza
Okul
region
from
representative.
Kisumu, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if what are the stages? How do we get to be you? Yes.
A lot of patience.
Okay.
And a lot of discipline. And also you must be able to understand what is your passion. If your passion is in shooting sports and it's in shooting and it's in this particular field, then you'll give it everything. You need to also be able to accommodate and accept that it is not only you in the field, so you must be able to give. And when you give, you get to understand a lot. When I train with my colleagues, I tend to have a habit of always correcting what I see wrong with them. And in that, I also see it in myself. When I correct you, when you're doing something, I'll have to try it myself for me to perfect it for you. And when I do that, then I remove my rough edges. So I've done this for some time now. And I've also had a great opportunity to be able to travel out of the country, which has given me a chance to mix with other shooters out there and be able to adopt instead of just inbreeding back home and to know how best to perfect most of these things. And equally, I've had the luckiest chance and opportunity to have a great fraternity of people who shoot and work across with myself. I've worked with several shooters in this country who are great people, and they've really helped me to grow to where I am. And also the discipline services and officers who have allowed me to train with them. They were my first instructors, and they took me to the levels of where I am today. I really do honor them, and I can't mention them by name, all of them today here, but I would say that out of their particular assistance, I have been able to reach where I am today.
Right.
Me having to have gotten the 4 masters in 4 divisions is not easy, and that my target is to get all 7 of them, so that I'm able to be a 7-gun master.
Right.
And then eventually I would try and see if I can become a distinguished master, which I know that we are now around 12 masters in Kenya. And I would request that all the 12 masters in Kenya should now be distinguished masters across, not only for myself, but for the rest of the team.
Right.
Because if you are a distinguished master in Kenya, it builds and lifts the country up. So we should all strive to get to that level.
Right, right.
So I'm now training with most of my junior, with the junior entries. We have got a youth forum, which we are carrying up heavily. We intend to make sure that we start an academy and at the association. We are equally building and collecting talent now from the disciplined forces, the ones we see who are training and are well. We have a team from KWS that has just joined us. We have a team from the REC unit. We have a team from GSU in total. We have a team from anti-stock theft. We have a team from the prisons, which is the correctional services. We have a team from DCI, which is the ATPU team, which I closely relate with. I also train them. We have a team from the Kenya, what are they called? The Kenya Airport or Ports or Diplomatic Police. And we are getting a lot of assistance coming in from the police themselves and coming in from other sectors. From the ministries, if you've seen now, Waziri himself has come on board. We have a lot of support coming in from our patron, who is Ambassador Mushiri, and he has done a great job with us. He has gone out of his way. He's a great shooter. He's a performer. He's one of the founders of this particular association. So I am sure that with we as a team will keep on growing, and the people who want to get to the levels that we are in, we are all there to help. All the masters that I know of in this country today are always willing to help, and they're always running courses,
Right.
bringing in shooters and bringing in foreign shooters to be able to assist with the growth of the sport in the country.
All right, so also some other regards from Colonel or Kano Sunday.
Oh,
Yes.
I know Kano Sunday very well. He has a great team. He has joined us from the Kenya Defence Forces.
Yes.
I'm sorry I forgot to mention them. Oh, they have a great team. In fact, the ladies in that team, Dunda, Agnes, Mushiri, and the rest, they're blazing off. They're doing some great work.
Awesome. All right, awesome. Now, we also have, we'll talk about the competition as well. You've mentioned people coming in, and now the Ministry of Youth, Culture, Sports, and the Arts has come in as well. How important is that for the sport moving forward? What does that competition portend for Kenya, for Africa? You've competed in Africa and outside. What does that mean?
Oh, it means a lot. It puts Kenya onto the map.
Right.
We've been hanging on the map of the world without being purely placed on as a shooting sport nation, where international organizations, international support that we might need, maybe coming from the bullet industries, maybe coming from the firearm industries, maybe coming from many other associated industries that you'd find related to this, have not been really looking at Kenya as a home which they would come and improve the sport. But currently now they are, because this is a level 4, a tier 4, sorry. Tier 4 means it is the second highest level of a competition that would ever happen. The first one we were given, yes, was a tier 4. We held it here in Kenya, but it was just after COVID. So we did not hit the mark on exactly where we could. And we did it purely from our own support and our own sponsors. Media houses are the ones who have made us who we are. If it was not for you to visit us, to allow me to come here today, and for the others to say that, yes, we need to let Kenyans know that this is not just another cowboy series. This is a sport that can actually lift you, build you from where you are. It is a means that our disciplined forces and teams are using for them to be able to remove their stress. They can come in using their tools and their levels of their daily jobs, so that they can come there and perfect it, so that they can be able to build it for a better tomorrow. We have now been put in a position where we are now being invited to go and officiate even in international events. I was in the US just the other day officiating for the US Nationals, which has never happened before. They got one person from Africa, they got one person from Europe, and the rest were Americans, and one person from Asia. There were just 3 of us. And this has never happened before. But now we are looking at housing this in Kenya. We want a level 5 competition to come, which is a world shoot, which has never come out of the US. It has never even gone to Europe.
Right.
But now they're considering to bring it maybe to Africa. And this African Championship, we would be lucky to have one of the officials from the headquarters, and they would be coming to watch and see how far we've reached. And for us as a nation and for the Ministry of Sport, I would say that they've opened the right doors. And for the media houses, it is not a loss. It is this is what they should be targeting. Because when we go for the Olympics, when Kenya goes for other international competitions, we come in 4th, 3rd in tallies of in medals. But other countries start picking medals on the first day of the competitions when they start. But we start picking only on the athletics or on the boxing or something like that. So, and we have talent. We have talent that can be nurtured here. The ministry has guided us and has shown us how to identify these talents from Kijiji areas. So we are identifying them now. How to develop the youth from 12 years old. You're allowed to be in a shooting range as long as you're accompanied by a licensed firearm holder or your parents, because the law allows from 12 years old. So now we are starting with the 12-year-olds. We are training them, and you should see what they're doing. It's amazing. We had the son of one of our Waziris the other day at the range, and he shot extremely well. He blew me off. I did not even believe that was a 12-year-old, and it was his first day of holding a firearm.
Right.
I don't know if it was PlayStation. I don't know if it was what, but no, for real, he was.
But it was really
amazing.
good. It's like our Ibra here.
Yeah, some good work was being done.
All right.
So we'd like to encourage everyone who feels like at that age they can bring them in. Willis, we'd like to say they should come. And our ladies should not be left behind, because right now they're giving us a run for our money. They're shooting extremely well. Yes.
That's an amazing thing, at least to see the sport in Kenya being known for other things as well. So, of course, somebody would ask, and I've seen somebody on Twitter asking as well. So, when you go there, what are the first of all, what does the pricing look like over there, and then probably how can somebody join Ngao?
Okay. Willis, for you to join Ngao, if you go to Ngao Kenya on Twitter, on Facebook, you'll find us. If you just Google National Gun Owners Association, it will even bring you all the way to the range.
Right.
We have got several ranges, Willis, and I would like to say that I'm here speaking on behalf of Ngao, but I would also like to speak on behalf of all the shooting fraternities.
Right.
We also have the Kenya Rifle Regiment, which is KRLC, which is in Langata. We also have Jockey Club, which is on Gong Road. We also have Bamburi Rifle Club, which is in Mombasa. And these are places where you can go and join those clubs, because at the end of the day, we are still the same shooters. We will still converge within the same surrounding, and we will be able to shoot. With the National Gun Owners Association now being a federation, for you to be able to come and shoot and join IDPA, if you go to www.idpa.com, it's very simple, just www.idpa.com. Everything else is self-explanatory.
Okay.
You'll find how to become a member. It will tell you which clubs to go to. It will tell you how to join that. And then you'll be able to come. If you're not licensed and you want to come for shooting sports, look at the Constitution. What does it say? You can be in a shooting sport. You can be in a shooting range as long as you're accompanied by a licensed firearm holder, but only for the purposes of sporting. It cannot be that you're coming to train for self-defense or for just fun. There's no fun. There's fun in the sport, but there's no fun that I'm just going to shoot for fun. No. It is either for sporting purposes.
Right.
For that one is also allowed, Willis.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'd like to say thank you so much. We had an amazing time there and much respect. I think even just listening to the process, we'll start by saying much respect to our disciplined forces. It's one thing to watch some of these things and get biases off of things you read and things you see or things that are misinterpreted. But when you're actually there and you get to handle it and you know the dangers surrounding it, for them to be doing this on a daily basis, salute to all the disciplining forces as well. And salute to you as well for you and the organizations for taking Kenya and putting Kenya on the map. We need good news in this country.
We will be ready.
We need some good news.
We will be ready to give it, especially in this
Right.
month of Ramadan that we are starting hopefully from tomorrow. We would like to say that we have also taken care of it.
Right.
Willis, as you're aware that this competition will be running through the month of Ramadan.
Okay.
We have done special arrangements where all our Muslim brothers and sisters who are going to be participating in this sport, they're allowed to shoot for the 4 days. They can come and shoot 4 stages, because we'll have 16 stages in total. We've taken special caution to make sure that we have a prayer center for them at the shooting range. We have taken care of even the Easter holiday, because it's going to be over Easter. So the Friday, which is a Good Friday, will be a non-shooting day to allow also all the Christians to be able to spend the Good Friday with their families. And then the Easter Monday will not be having any activity. So we have taken measures to make sure that we take care of all religious matters in relationship to that. Because, you know, Kenya is a praying country, and we ourselves as shooters, we are God-loving people.
All right.
So we'd like to make sure that and wish the Muslims a happy Ramadan.
Ramadan. All right. Yes. Okay, so somebody's saying you didn't tell us the prices to go and shoot, or once you remember.
Oh, the prices for the paying for
yes.
How much it costs.
Yes, like
or
to
it
go
costs
to,
you for if you come to the range, it will cost you. Different ranges have got different prices. I'll talk about Kirigiti. Kirigiti, we have a cost of 2,000 shillings for a non-member. It's actually 2,050 bob.
Okay.
There's a 50 bob we normally put on top there. It's not Yakutoa. There's a 50 bob that is on top there.
Right.
So there's a 2,050 shillings that is for a non-member, but members pay 1,050.
Okay.
We have platinum membership, we don't pay anything. And then the kind of bullets that you're going to use, they vary because the different calibers of bullets that are sold at the range. But they're all available at the shooting range, well taken care of, accountable, and all that. For the competition, it is 2,500 for disciplined forces, means for the officers from any of the active police officers and military officers, because they have a special category. And then there is 5,000 shillings, which is like equal to $50. That is for every other person.
Right.
And Willis will be having several international shooters who are going to be coming.
Okay.
It's lucky that we're going to be having some master shooters coming in who are shooting PCC, who are shooting ESP, who are shooting SSP. So there'll be some good run. And also carry optics.
Okay.
Some master shooters are coming into the country.
All right. Well, now you know, people. Mimi Yosiku, I think if I remember, I used a CZ Shadow.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's right. That's the one I used. How you like me now with the knowledge? All right. Well, thank you so much, and we wish you all the best on the event as well. For more information, like you said idpa.com?
Yes.
IDPA.com.
If you go to idpa.com.
And you get all the information, and also Ngao Kenya on all the social media platforms. So I would say thank you so much for that. Hope you learned something. At the end of the day, if you are a licensed firearm holder in this country, you owe it to yourself and the people around you to be safe and to be disciplined around it. And also, of course, discipline enforcement, it goes without saying. But I would say thank you so much. Thank you for your time. My name is Willis Raburu. We'll see you here tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. I know it's one of your favorite days. It's mine as well. We are cooking and eating right here on Power Party.